the biggest topic we've been talking about all offseason long. And coming up on today's show, we have the biggest Jonathan Kuminga update yet from Warriors insider Anthony Slater. As his free agency stuff is kind of getting moving a little bit. Before we get into it, I want to catch everybody up on how exactly we got to this point in the 2025 NBA offseason, as we are on day 5 of NBA free agency, and there's still yet to be a Jonathan Kuminga deal finalized, whether it be with Golden State or another team, as he is a restricted free agent. Now, we have heard, not only now, but back in when the season was going on, that Jonathan Kuminga wants an expanded role. Matter of fact, he wants to be a multi-time All-Star, and a ball-dominant All-Star at that. Somebody who can get his own shot and be the focal point of an offense here in the NBA. He believes is a $30 million a year plus player, even at just 22 years old. Year 4 in the league, and he really couldn't carve out that role with the Golden State Warriors. Really doesn't fit overall next to Steph, next to Draymond, next to Jimmy, two guys who don't space the floor, and Steph, who's kind of the focal point of the offense, the center of the ecosystem, running around the entire perimeter. Kuminga wants to be an isolation player, and the Warriors don't really play isolation basketball, so he doesn't really fit with Golden State, and the two sides are potentially looking at a departure. Now, he was completely benched the last season, getting some DNPs down the home stretch in the Warriors' final regular season game and in the play-in game versus the Grizzlies. Kuminga did not see the floor at all, and then he was kind of jostled around in and out of the rotation in the Houston series, mostly DNPs there as well. And then when Curry went down in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals against the Timberwolves, well, Kuminga had to kind of be inserted, or else the Warriors would have maybe scored 60 points during that entire series. But they had to change the entire offense around to suit Kuminga. And he had a lot of good games and hopefully raised some of his stock during that playoff series and showed teams that he has some potential, but probably elsewhere. Now, throughout the 24-25 season and into the earlier parts of the offseason, it was reported that both sides, Golden State and Jonathan Kuminga, would explore all options heading into this offseason, whether it be re-signing with Golden State long-term or finding a partner to agree to a sign and trade, as there is not a lot of money around the NBA right now. It's a bad time to be a restricted free agent, and teams don't have money to outright give Jonathan Kuminga an offer sheet. There was one team that we had heard about, the Brooklyn Nets, but there came out reports toward the end of the season that they were not going to extend an offer sheet to Kuminga. So that kind of left it being sign and trade or re-sign in Golden State. Now, when the offseason began, and we were getting to the start of free agency a couple of days ago, the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls were viewed as the most likely trade destinations entering the free agency period. But we haven't heard anything on their fronts really since the free agency has started, so it seems like they are kind of on the outs at this point. Meanwhile, the Sacramento Kings have since entered the fold, and they have, at this point, been the only team that there has been a reported trade offer for in order to sign Jonathan Kuminga to that team. And as well as the Pelicans have entered the rumors a little bit, but nothing concrete has really materialized there, and Slater has not really mentioned them too much as a potential destination. But the Kings have made an offer, and it is, according to Warriors insiders, a, quote, buy low offer for Kuminga. So Golden State not looking to be jostled around here and give away Jonathan Kuminga for pennies on the dollar. So they have not yet reached an agreement at this point, but we have some new information to break down on today's show. Before we get into it, we are almost at our next milestone of 97,000 subscribers here at Warriors Today. I only need 90 diehard Dubs fans to go down below and hit that subscribe button. 100% free Golden State Warriors content all off season long. All right, I think I did a pretty good job, kind of catching everybody up. But after all that, it looks like we're not close to getting to the finish line at this point. According to Anthony Slater, the Kuminga saga could roll on and remain unresolved all the way into the Vegas Summer League, which is at the end of next week, starting July 10th. And who knows how many days it could take there after that. But there is a little bit of traction, kind of getting going a little bit. Nothing is close to being done just yet, but more and more teams are kind of emerging in the Kuminga interest and the rumor mill surrounding where he'll play his next basketball. Now, Golden State and Joe Lacob, kind of like I alluded to, won't give Kuminga up for pennies on the dollar. They have already rejected an offer from the Sacramento Kings, and if any other offers have come in that we don't know about, they have balked at those as well. So they are not looking to give up JK for just nothing out there. They want to get some value back, even if they don't believe that he is a great long-term fit in Golden State. Now, remember, Golden State can only take back 50% of what Kuminga's new contract will be in the first year of the new deal. So they're already, kind of hard capped at what they can bring back in a Kuminga sign and trade. So they're going to be looking at all options and making this go as long as possible. They have the leverage to match any contract offer that he signs. Anthony Slater said this about the Warriors' asking price on Kuminga specifically. He said the Golden State Warriors, according to league sources, have been searching for a promising young player plus a first-round pick in return for Kuminga, should they ultimately decide to part with him in a sign-and-trade scenario. They extended the $7.9 million qualifying offer to the 22-year-old wing and maintain the ability to match any contract that he signs. Now, we remember Joe Lacob saying at the start of this offseason, it'll take a lot for me not to match. And he said himself, me not to match, before he even mentioned the Warriors. Now, it is his money that is being spent, but we know how fond Joe Lacob is of Jonathan Kuminga. He's kind of the whole reason that he's even in this mess at this point now. Like, he's had total faith in the Warriors' two-timeline approach. A lot of faith in James Wiseman. Didn't work out. A lot of faith in Jonathan Kuminga. Really hasn't worked out all the way. Maybe not to the extent that Wiseman flamed out, but it really has not been what Golden State had hoped for in a number 7 overall pick. But Lacob still likes Kuminga. He had him sitting next to him at the Golden State Valkyries home opener. So, like, he clearly has an investment in this guy and wants to see him remain on Golden State. But I hope that he's not really making basketball decisions here, and we can let Mike Dunleavy, Steve Kerr, the brain trust, Steph Curry, let these guys kind of take the wheel here when it comes to what's going to happen out there on the basketball floor. Now, remember, the Warriors did balk at an offer that the Kings threw out there, and this is what it came down to. It was the rising second-year player, Devin Carter, who missed a lot of time last year with a shoulder injury, the Providence product. He was great in college. He's still a 22-year-old player now, though, so Kuminga and Carter there at the same age. Plus, former Warriors, I'm not even going to say legend, Dario Saric there as well. He's making about $8 million. It kind of gets close to the 50% that Kuminga would be returning for, and then 2 second-round picks as well. And I was talking about to some people throughout the Chat Sports offices here, and they were like totally cool with this offer. And some people had even said they want Devin Carter over Jonathan Kuminga straight up. Look, you guys know how I feel about JK. I even think that this is kind of a low-ball offer. And look, are they going to end up accepting something like to this level? You never know down the line. I'm sure this type of offer won't be one that the Kings yank back. I'm sure they'll be able to offer this no matter what. And if Golden State wants to accept something like it, then maybe they will. But they're going to exhaust all options until they have to get to something like this point. Now, that's where we get to today, where a new team has entered the fold for Jonathan Kuminga. And it's not a team that we've heard of at all leading up. Like, it's not like the Pelicans getting the rumors getting a little hotter. It's actually another team in the Eastern Conference that is looking to kind of kickstart a little bit more of their youth movement. Slater with this. The Washington Wizards have entered the mix in the last 24 hours, and the idea of Kuminga as a possible fit in Washington's rebuild has gained real momentum, according to league sources. The Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks, and Brooklyn Nets have also registered varying levels of interest, league sources said. Now, before we get to the Wizards part, I want to make it clear. This is the first I've ever heard of anything Milwaukee-related on Jonathan Kuminga, but we know what kind of situation that they're in right now, trying their best to put the pieces they can around Giannis in order to appease him and have him, in a position to contend in the Eastern Conference, because we know that's all he wants. He doesn't want to leave Milwaukee, but they really don't have the pieces right there, in my opinion, right now to be able to convince him to stay multiple more seasons. So maybe they go after a guy like Kuminga, but we'll cross that bridge when the rumors there get a little bit more hot. This is the first I've heard of Milwaukee at all in this scenario, but Slater's Bible. I'm gonna believe him. Let's go to the Wizards now, though, because they have some assets that I do think fall in the realm of, a Kuminga sign-and-trade target. They have a Corey Kispert, a nice offensive scoring wing out of Gonzaga. He's a player that I've liked for a long time, and I think he could fit pretty well in the Warriors system. Kelly Olynyk, he'd fit like a glove in this Warriors offense, and he'd be a nice mentor to a player like Quentin Post. Would he really improve upon Post interior defense? Maybe not, but his interior scoring output would definitely improve under the tutelage of Kelly Olynyk. And Olynyk can still play, man. So Kispert's only 26, and Olynyk, he's still over 30 years old, can still play elite basketball in this league. Shot over 40% from three-point range last season. Kispert, I like his ability to kind of just fit seamlessly on the wing in this Golden State offense. He can move. He can stand in the corner. And I think he's going to be completely okay with that if that's his role. Now, Olynyk was limited to 44 games last season. He was split time between the Pelicans and the Raptors. Meanwhile, Kispert obviously has been in Washington his entire career to this point. And look, those numbers on screen, they're not going to wow you, but I do think that, with a lot less pressure to really produce a good bit for like a Wizards team that's been really bad over the past few years, I think he would come into a Golden State situation where he'd just be that complimentary player, and you could even see those efficiencies go up there. He's about a league average three-point shooter right now. I bet you that could be a 38% clip if he were in Golden State. Now, why would Golden State do a trade for one of those guys straight up? Because I'm sure you guys are barking at me in the comment section right now. Kuminga's way better than Corey Kispert or Kelly Olynyk. And maybe in the Olynyk sense, like, yeah, for sure. But Kispert, don't disrespect. 26 years old, can absolutely score the rock and do it efficiently, unlike JK. But why Golden State would do it with Washington specifically is because the Wizards hold the Warriors protected 2030 first-round pick. Remember, there's that protections from 1 to 20 in that draft. And if the Wizards were able to give this pick back or release the protections on it and give it all the rights back to Golden State, well, that unlocks and unfreezes the picks around 2030 for Golden State to be super flexible to make another deal down the line. So this isn't thinking about, an end-all, be-all move when you're thinking about what you're getting back for Kuminga. No, you're getting a lot of freedom back to make deals down the line if a bigger superstar comes along. And we know in this league that could happen at the drop of a hat. So looking at this trade idea between the Warriors and the Wizards, Kuminga, and you got to give up Guy Santos to match the salary, but Corey Kispert is going to slot right in at that 3 spot off of the bench. You're going to have, your starting 5 of Curry, Pods, Jimmy, hopefully Horford ends up signing at some point here soon, and Draymond at the 5. And then you have a guy like Corey Kispert off the bench with Moses Moody, and we actually start having some real basketball players in the back end of Golden State's rotation. So I'd be all for it here, man. You get a guy like Kispert who can put the ball in the bucket, and you get that protected first-round pick back and more flexibility to make trades down the line, which we know Mike Dunleavy wants to do, and reports are coming out that he has a series of plans for this offseason. So would you make the trade? Let me know in the comment section. A for accept, D for decline. If you would like Corey Kispert in exchange for Jonathan Kuminga in a sign and trade, along with getting that first-round pick back. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. A for accept, D for decline. Look, I'd like to get a little bit more back. I'll be honest. Like, if somehow Golden State could swing Koulibaly, I doubt that happens. Like, I really doubt that Washington would be willing to give him up. But if they could even swing like an A.J. Johnson or a Justin Champagnie off of the back end of Washington's bench, cheap, cost-controlled guys who could potentially make an impact in Golden State's roster. I mean, Champagnie averaged 8 points a game last year, so we could see him potentially blossom as an off-the-bench scorer as well. But I like to get a little bit more back from Washington. Wouldn't mind. I probably would still accept that trade at the end of the day, just due to the flexibility that Golden State gets with their draft capital, and I think that would be the real driving force in making this deal over others, maybe with players at Corey Kispert's level. Before we move on, I want to tell you guys about this awesome deal that we're running here on the channel. 2025 playoff shirts. This link right here, chatsports.com/win4bay. It was a $35 tee. Now it's only $18. And you see that Nike sign? That's how you know it's high quality. I'm losing my words there because this shirt's so fire. This link right here, chatsports.com/win4bay. That link is in the comment section and description of today's video as well. Look, we know that Jonathan Kuminga wants to be the guy. And the reason that this is going to take so long is because Jonathan Kuminga wants to be the guy. Anthony Slater said that Kuminga and his reps want to be featured heavily in a team's offense. They want to be a focal point. They want to be, invested in if they're going to pay a pretty hefty price tag of $25+ million annually. More from Slater here. He said this could move the process deeper into July, could drag it on even longer. So there's a tentative plan for face-to-face meetings between Kuminga and prospective suitors in Las Vegas during the NBA Summer League, should the process extend that far. An eventual compromise and return to the Warriors also remains very much on the table, according to league sources, considering the market dynamics at play. The two sides have also talked at a sit-down in Las Vegas between Kuminga, Turner, his agent, general manager Mike Dunleavy, and head coach Steve Kerr to discuss a possible path forward if his situation remains unresolved in a week. Time's ticking, clock's running, and look, they can have that sit-down meeting. I at the end of the day, would rather not re-sign Kuminga, even if they're going to move him down the line, because that just creates more dysfunction next season, and I don't really want the Warriors to be scrambling at the trade deadline. I want them to have kind of a fleshed-out plan here this offseason to get a roster in place for the start of 25-26 that ends up being competitive in the Western Conference and has the continuity in order to, mesh together and be a unit that ends up exceeding their ceiling because they have great chemistry and able to kind of fit well on the basketball court. And that's not something that we've seen from the Warriors over the past couple of seasons. So I'd rather not re-sign them, and clock's ticking. So Dunleavy, Steve Kerr, start selling to some of these teams out there what they could get out of Jonathan Kuminga. And if you're ready for this whole saga to be over, because it's all we've been talking about here at Warriors Today for the past few months, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as that will do it for today's edition of Warriors Today. YouTube.com/Warriors TV for the best and freest Warriors content all offseason long. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go Dubs.